Day 3 at Indian Wells, and honestly, this was the day where the tournament started feeling real. The big names finally stepped on court. Some of them delivered, some of them didn't, and a couple of results are going to reshape how we see the next week entirely. Let's go. We start with Sinner because after the year he's had, the Australian Open semis, Doha, all the noise and the questions and the "is he in crisis" headlines, he needed a clean, convincing win in his first match here. No drama, no dropped sets, no moment where you're biting your nails wondering if it's happening again. He got it. Sinner beat qualifier Dalibor Sversina 6-1, 6-1, just over an hour, dominant from the very first game. He broke early in the first set and then just never let up. He won 5 consecutive games to take it and barely gave away a point on his own serve throughout. The second set was the same story. Clean, efficient, ruthless. And look, Sversina is a qualifier. He's a 23-year-old Czech kid playing his first ever match against a top 10 player. This wasn't supposed to be a test, but the thing is, it still matters how you win. And Sinner won the right way. He looked sharp. He looked focused. He looked like a player who had been sitting at home watching his ranking picture get worse and worse and decided, enough, let's go. He'll need every bit of that energy going forward because the draw ahead of him is not easy. Now let's talk about Zverev. And this one was genuinely impressive. Zverev beat Berrettini 6-3, 6-4. And before you say, well, Berrettini is ranked 66th, that's expected. And just hear me out. Because after what happened to Zverev in Acapulco last week, losing first round to Kekmanovic, there were genuine questions about his confidence and his form, and Berrettini coming in off 3 sets against Mannarino, all that energy and crowd support, it could have been a scrappy, awkward match. Instead, Zverev was excellent. He didn't face a single break. Point in the entire match, not one. That's a statement. The serve was working, the forehand was clicking, and he managed the match tactically like a top 4 player should. He said afterwards that he struggled here before, and that's true. He's never made a final in Indian Wells, but that he feels different this year. After watching that performance, I believe him. He'll meet TFO next, which is a genuinely dangerous third-round match. But right now, Zverev looks like he belongs in the conversation for this title. But here's where Day 3 gets really interesting, because Fucsovics is on a run. Martin Fucsovics beat 5th seed Lorenzo Musetti 7-5, 6-1. And this one has an important piece of context behind it. Musetti hadn't played a single match since the Australian Open, where he was forced to retire mid-match against Djokovic in the quarterfinals with a muscle injury. He came into Indian Wells without match practice, without rhythm, and it showed. He committed 26 unforced errors. He looked rusty, especially on the second serve, which Fucsovics targeted relentlessly. The Hungarian was quick, aggressive, and composed. He built a double-break lead in the second set and just closed it out comfortably. It's only his second ever top 5 win, and his first on a hard court. Fucsovics next faces Arthur Fils, who had his own interesting day when Prismic retired against him mid-match. So Fucsovics gets a relatively fresh opponent with the momentum of a top 5 scalp behind him. He could go deep here. Now, Shapovalov, because this is becoming a real story. Shapovalov beat Etcheverry in 3 sets. The scoreline was 6-3, 2-6, 7-6, nearly 2 hours and 40 minutes. Etcheverry took the second set convincingly after Shapovalov's first serve dropped and the Argentine started dictating from the baseline. But Shapovalov came back in the third, broke early, and held on. He's now beaten Tsitsipas and Etcheverry in back-to-back matches. 2 solid wins. Dennis, Shapovalov, when his level is there, is a nightmare. For anyone on tour, he's playing freely, no pressure. And that's when he's most dangerous. And then there's Ben Shelton. And this one was a proper fight. Shelton beat Opelka in 3 sets, 6-7-3, 7-6, 4, 6-3. An all-American battle that went over 2 hours and 10 minutes. And for a long stretch of that match, it looked like Shelton was going out. He was 2 points from losing in the second set tiebreak. He trailed at 4-5, and then Opelka faltered, missed 2 crucial points on his own serve. handed Shelton the tiebreak. Shelton then came out in the third and won it comfortably. Despite taking a tumble near the end, he slipped serving for the match, but quickly got back up and closed it out. The guy looks physically fragile right now as he appeared uncomfortable throughout, which is going to be something to watch going forward, but he found a way. American crowd, home tournament, backs against the wall, he found a way. Now, one more note on the men's side, and this one is a correction I want to flag directly. And then there's Jacob Mensik, 12 seed, one of the most consistent players on tour in 2026. Won Auckland at the start of the year, has barely put a foot wrong since. He faced Marcos Giron today, an American who just beaten Navone to get here. Home crowd behind him, nothing to lose. Mensik handled it, 7-5, 7-6, 2 tight sets, no breaks in sight, had to win it in tie breaks both times. And that actually tells you something about Mensik, because a lot of players, when the sets keep going to tie breaks and the crowd is against you, start making errors, start pressing. Mensik didn't. He stayed calm, stayed aggressive, and took both breakers when he needed to. He's seeded 12th here, but honestly has been playing like a top 5 guy for weeks. One to watch as this tournament gets serious. Now let's get to the women's side, because there's plenty to talk about there too. Sabalenka opened her campaign with a dominant 6-4, 6-2 win over qualifier Himeno Sakatsumi. And look, world number 1 against a qualifier, you expect this. But Sabalenka hadn't played since the Australian Open final. She skipped the entire Middle East swing, so there was a little question mark about rustiness. No rust. She was clean, she was powerful, and she moved through it without any real stress. She's going to take some stopping here. Gauff also advanced, but it wasn't quite as clean. She beat Rakimova 6-3, 7-6. That first set, dropping it in a tiebreak against a qualifier, is exactly the kind of inconsistency that's been following Gauff around in 2026. But she turned it around sharply in the second and third. When she finds her level, she's a different player. The first set is still a worry, though. Jasmine Paolini had a nervy one. She beat Potapova 6-7, 6-2, 6-3, but that first set was a disaster. She lost the tiebreak without winning a single point. 0 points in a tiebreak as the 7th seed against a player ranked 91st in the world. That is not how you want to start your Indian Wells campaign. The match lasted nearly 2.5 hours, and Paolini had to dig deep to turn it around. And then the biggest upset on the women's side. Camila Osorio beat Eva Jovic 4-6, 7-6, 6-3. And this one genuinely hurts to watch if you're a Jovic fan, because she had the first set. She was the better player early on. She was doing exactly what everyone expected her to do against a player ranked well outside the top 50. Day 4 is coming, and the draw is thinning out in ways nobody fully expected. Musetti is gone, Jovic is gone, and the men's draw is looking increasingly like it might lead to a Sinner-Zverev-Alcaraz collision course in the latter stages. Alcaraz plays Dimitrov next, Saturday, on the big court, and honestly, I can't wait. Who do you think wins the whole thing? Alcaraz, Sinner, or does someone like Zverev or Djokovic throw a wrench into everything? Tell me in the comments. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. It helps me a lot to keep posting videos daily. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.